Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hello and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Great to have you here today on our second house call of the weekend. This is my chance to answer our community's questions each and every Saturday and Sunday every week for about almost 5 years now. Almost 5 years, not quite. We've answered thousands of questions from the community, and believe it or not, we are catching up. We are less than 1 month behind with your questions. So if you have your own question and you don't mind waiting just a couple weeks for me to answer it live on this show, please do feel free to send it in at stephencabral.com/ask Cabral. If you need any customer service-based support, just email support@equilibriumnutrition.com or support@stephencabral.com if it's more educational-based. And of course, if you need same-day questions from our community, ask those at cabralsupportgroup.com. Here on the house calls, I answer them about 4 weeks to 6 weeks or so after they are asked. All right. Thank you again so much for tuning into today's shows. If you have not yet reviewed the show, I do want to mention it before the end of the show. I would love for you, while you're listening to the show at the same exact time, simply head on over to iTunes or your Android or your Spotify or whatever podcast media player you're playing on. And if you would be able to review the show for me, that would be greatly appreciated. Really appreciate the subscribes and the reviews. It does help me to move up in those rankings and reach more and more people on a daily basis. So thank you for helping me to fulfill my mission. All right, first question today, let's get right into it, is from Darrel. Darrel is asking, hey, Dr. Barral, pleasant day. I came across an Indian yogi and later found what he said supported by Feng Shui with regard to sleeping directions. They say if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, it's opposite if you live in the Southern Hemisphere, and sleep facing the north, the magnetic pull of the direction attracts iron, which gets accumulated in the brain. This is the reason why many people complain of getting a headache when they wake up. Sleeping with your head pointing north can also disrupt your blood circulation and lead to disturbed sleep. It can also increase disorders such as insomnia, etc. Any truth in this in Ayurveda or any of the teachings you've come across? All right, Darrel, great question. I totally know where you're coming from, and I actually do agree. But I want to put a little caveat, a little asterisk next to that. So it's the same thing with sleeping further away from the ground. So believe it or not, the further you sleep away from the ground, the less of the grounding you get, which means the less of the negative ions you get, which means the greater the disturbance of vata in the body. So if you're in a high-rise building like I just came from, living on the 16th floor, which is probably, if I had to guess, about 200 feet in the air, in a nice, beautiful apartment building. Yeah, absolutely. 2 floors, and then you can start all the floors from there, probably 200 feet. Then there's going to be, again, a higher disturbance of vata. Never mind, not as much fresh air, right? So does Feng Shui matter as well? I absolutely believe that it does. I believe that we are surrounded by energy. I believe that we are energy, and our energy interacts with our environment all around us. Now, do I ever recommend this to clients? The answer is no, I do not. And here's why. There's only so much that a human brain can handle. And there's only so much that I can recommend in a protocol. And I've never been able to not help people get rid of the issues such as sleeping issues and headaches, etc., with rebalancing their body, because then they're able to deal with slight deviations such as sleeping north, right? Sleeping facing north. So here's what I do though. But for people then who have lost the weight, gotten well, and they're already on the anti-aging protocols, which is basically how we do it, then these are extra things that they can look into, because all of these things do matter, like little tiny percentage points. So I do agree. I just don't give that out as typical information, because then it's like, well, what else do I have to be worried about? And there's just so much to be worried about that these are just not topics that I typically talk on. But Darrel, I agree with you, and thank you for bringing it up. All right, Stephen asks, what are your thoughts on sea moss? I feel like it's becoming mainstream now. Well, Stephen, it must be becoming mainstream because I just answered this question just yesterday. You didn't even know, I'm sure, that it got written in, but this question was actually from Sarah yesterday. So I'd love you to head on over to StephenCabral.com/1681. Head on over to yesterday's show, StephenCabral.com/1681. And today is, if you want to read along with the questions, head on over to StephenCabral.com/1682. All right. So, Stephen, you can check out yesterday's question. Farah is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm a level 1 IHP student in the IHP protocol, supplement protocol module. You showed us the little zip bags to carry supplements on the go. However, I assume these things are made out of plastic, right? Wouldn't that be an issue for women because of the potential hormonal issues that plastic can cause? All right, Farah, great question. And here's the thing. It really touches back to Darrel's question. And you're absolutely correct. So it's not that you're not correct. And we are surrounded by plastic all around us. So, the supplement plastic pill boxes, you can't carry around a glass pill box, right? That would be, but you'd break that. And then we have plastic on our furniture. We've got plastic, basically, coatings on seats. We've got plastic coatings in the inside of cans, and we're surrounded by plastic. There's no doubt about it. So here's what the best bet. This is what I recommend on plastic. You use as little as you can. That's the goal. You use as little as you can. Now, what if someone is not taking their nutritional supplements, which is going to make a way bigger dent in their health than carrying those little bags around because they forget their supplements all the time? To me, it's way better that they carry that tiny little Ziploc bag around. It's not thick plastic. This is very thin millimeter plastic with them in their pocket, which is not going to get drastically heated up, by the way. The real danger of plastic is when you heat it, you wash it under hot water, or it becomes very old and begins to break down. Regular plastic, believe it or not, even though I'm not a fan of BPA, and none of our products are BPA, our water bottles BPA-free, all that, I'm not a fan of it. But even BPA, if you don't put it in your dishwasher and you don't heat it up, there's not going to be a lot of transfer. There's honestly not. So I agree with you, and it's not just dangerous for women, it's actually dangerous for men as well. It's dangerous for women for breast cancer, etc. It's dangerous for men for prostate cancer, etc. Not good. We're surrounded by plastic. We just have to make our best possible choice. And if you ever have a better way of carrying around those supplements, then you can absolutely do that. So again, it's just one thing to make life easier and to also keep you remembering to take your supplements, okay? That's why I sometimes do it. But at work, again, I have 2 supplement pill boxes. If you don't know the pill box I'm talking about, you can just go to equilibriumnutrition.com, check out the lifestyle tab or the gear tab, or you can just type in supplement box and you're going to find it. It has 12 compartments. I put my supplements in it. I have one at home. I have one in my office. Keeps things easy. So I have mine for lunch. But if I do head out to dinner, which is not happening too often lately, I do bring one of those little baggies because I take my supplements and I consider that way more important than that little bit of plastic they're touching. And again, I don't believe there's a lot of transfer from that plastic to my supplements. All right. So good question though, Farah. Judy's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I hope this message finds you healthy and well. My question is in regards to blood sugar regulation. I've listened to your podcast regarding glucose monitors and optimal blood sugar levels. I've been tracking my glucose for quite some time, and I'm never optimal. I eat a whole foods diet with a once-a-week sweet treat made with natural sweeteners like honey and maple syrup. Any healthy carb like whole fruit, Japanese yams, brown rice, etc. spike my blood sugar very high, and it never allows it to go below 80 unless I severely restrict these carbs. I'm a lean, athletic build, and I've worked with your team in the past for adrenal resistance, hormone, and thyroid issues. What steps do you recommend to address this issue? Judy, thank you for writing in. Okay, I just want to clarify on the podcast, we can't treat disease, we can't cure disease, we can't diagnose any disease, right? So any information I give you is strictly educational. So what I would say is, again, we're not talking about diabetes, we're just talking about blood sugar. Here's what I recommend, because this has to do with cell membrane dynamics as much as anything else. So there are many people that I know, they can eat 100 carbs at a meal and they don't get their blood sugar might go up to 150, and then in 3 hours it's back down below 100, right? The carbs aren't bad, it's that our cell membrane and our hormones are not working how they should, right? So really when we talk about blood sugar regulation, we're really talking about an endocrine blood sugar cell membrane dynamics issue. That they don't teach this in school too much because, well, that would be getting to the root cause, and the root cause is not taught very much anywhere, right? So these are things that you learn through other doctors and practitioners and brilliant people that have come before us, right? I am simply a student of, and I stand on the shoulders of giants that I've learned from in the past, right? I've taken thousands of authors and clinicians and masters of all their different medicines and simply assimilated it into one practice. That's the one thing that I've done, is I've taken this information and to try to make it one. And that's what we call our Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, right? So that's what we teach. But here's what it is. Okay, first look at this. I want to make sure that your levels of omega-6s are not too high. I also then want to make sure your levels of polyunsaturated fats are not too high. And then I want to make sure your saturated fats are not too high, meaning because here's how cell membrane dynamics works. If you have a really high fat diet, too many saturated fats, believe it or not, that can cause diabetes. Again, we're not talking about disease diagnosis, but it can cause that. What happens is it basically hardens the cell membranes, doesn't allow for as much in and out play of glucose, blood sugar, okay? Not for everybody, but some people certainly. Too high a level of protein in the diet, believe it or not, and again, there's great research on this, can cause blood sugar dysregulation, okay? And then too high a level of the opposite, which would be polyunsaturated fats, can also cause this for the exact opposite reasons. A weak cell membrane dynamic. Now, not as often, but it absolutely can, because it can cause unchecked levels of inflammation in the body. So I would I'm certainly a big advocate of the big five. We want to make sure that your adrenals are in check, your thyroid's in check. And if you can't run the labs, you can't run the omega-3 lab. Omega-3 would be a great one for you to run. But what you could also do, the 21-day functional medicine detox. You could then have a nice little cheat meal. You could then begin the fat-losity-based system, because we want to make sure your weight's in check. And that also teaches you strategically. Remember, we don't provide products. We provide protocols. There's a huge difference, right? And then what we do is we teach you, we're an education-based practice, teach you how to strategically ease your carbs back in your diet so that your body gets then reaccustomed to this increase in carbs, and then you can actually begin to utilize them again as energy. Okay? So thank you, Judy, for writing in. Paula, I think it's supposed to say Paula. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I used braces for 2 years, and after that, they put in fixed retainers on my bottom teeth to prevent further movement. I went to a holistic dentist in London to remove this after learning about heavy metal toxicity during IHP level 1, but they told me that it wasn't made out of mercury and it was just stainless steel. They said that there are no issues with that, and if I removed them, there was a high risk of my teeth moving again. I'm not sure what to do now. Do you think stainless steel is an issue? Thank you so much for your time. Okay, well, I think stainless steel is far less of an issue. There's no doubt about that. Here's the issue, though. A lot of those leave-in retainers and those Invisaligns, et cetera, I'm not naming one particular company, is that they contain plastic oftentimes, or a polymer. It doesn't have to just be plastic. And your saliva builds up in it. Why is that a big deal? As saliva builds up, it's meant to be a natural flow in and out of, not in and out of your mouth, I should say, but in and out of from your salivary glands, and you swallow it, etc. So there's a free flowing of this bacteria in the mouth. Now, a guard in some way, if it's not just a stainless steel, piece of metal in your mouth, if there's a polymer, a plastic, etc., where saliva could pool, it can actually allow bacteria to pool around the gums and then get more into the bloodstream. So that's what I'm not a fan of, because I did a podcast on how these kind of invisible base retainers or braces work, and it's not necessarily healthy, especially for the long run. So, Paula, I do agree that stainless steel isn't the end of the world. Not everybody's teeth moves back. I had braces for 4 years from, I don't know what it was, like, let's say 5th grade to 8th grade, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Yeah, that's about right. And then they wanted me to wear a retainer, like the whole head guard thing and all that. And then, put in the pink things that you pop in your mouth. And I wore it like off and on for like 6 months. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to wear this for the rest of my mouth, for the rest of my life in my mouth. It's just not something I want to do. So I did take it out. There was a slight shift in my teeth, but nothing major. And so that was okay for me. Again, like, maybe they start to shift in you. I don't know. It doesn't happen to everybody. I can't tell you not to do it because, of course, I wouldn't want your teeth to shift back if you are worried about that. So if it's just stainless steel, probably not that big a deal. But if there's any type of other thing added to it, that's what we want to look for. All right. Steven's up next. Hey, Dr. Cabral, love your podcast. Tune in every single morning. My question is, why does the gut support powder contain zinc chelate and not picolinate? Is one better than the other or both great for intestinal mucosa? Thank you. Okay. It's a great question, Stephen, and we certainly talk about this quite a bit as well. There's zinc carnosine in the healthy belly, which is the very last month of the CBO protocol. And then the zinc chelate is an easily absorbable one that also doesn't kind of typically cause that nausea if taken on an empty stomach. So that's why I like that one too. The zinc picolinate I use every single night at dinner, myself personally, and it's part of our immunity-based protocol. And it's great. A zinc gluconate, a zinc picolinate, even a citrate, great for the immune system. So that's why I like to use that one specifically. So, Stephen, thank you for your question. They're both great. They really are. But that's why that's made. There's always a method behind the madness, right? So that's specifically what it is. Okay. Next up is Simon. Hello, and thank you, Dr. Ball. I'm giving a short presentation at a conference in November and don't want to be a stuttering, forgetful mess. Apart from the general good health, deep breathing, and presentation techniques, I'm wondering what supplements you might recommend to increase mental clarity whilst maintaining calm. I'm concerned some nootropics may achieve mental performance at the expense of calm, and calming supplements may dampen my mental sharpness. Any thoughts? Many of my contemporaries swear by beta blockers in these situations. Would these be okay for a limited use? Simon, thank you for the question. Love that you wrote in, and absolutely we can use a little biohacking here. So this is what I recommend. But again, we're not treating any disease. We're simply giving some recommendations. I do agree that, so we just have to be careful with nootropics, which are essentially neurotransmitter precursors and the like. I use them. I'm not, and I don't use them personally, but I've used them in my practice. I'm not against them. Okay. I'm not. We do have some 5-HTP in our sleep help support product at night. What else? Not a lot. We'll use tyrosine in our daily thyroid support. But anyway, let's get to your question. Okay. So, here's the biggest thing. Anything, absolutely anything that you are going to be using that day needs to be mimicked at least 2 weeks before, okay? So you don't need to use it every day, but you want to use it at least 1 or 2 times at the same style of day, the same type of day, the same time of day, okay? Because you don't want to go in to that one day when you're giving your presentation and have it be the very first time that you take a product. Not a good idea. Actually, a really bad idea. So if you're more on the nervous side, what we want to do are use things that would calm you, right? That makes sense. So here's what we want. We can do a ginger tea. That's something that you can sip on with a little bit of raw honey in there. It gives you the sweet, coats the throat a bit, and the ginger tea, it can be calming for the nerves as well. A nice little thing to calm vata in Ayurvedic medicine. Both the honey and the tea can help with that. Don't worry about the sugar. It's about 5 grams in 1 teaspoon, and you're going to sip it over your presentation as needed, and you're going to enjoy it. Okay, now, and get the temperature that you want. You don't want it hot, you don't want it cold, probably just warm, okay, would be fine. Now, what I'd recommend is an hour before the presentation, you want to find out the right dosage for you for magnesium. You can use magnesium citrate powder, or you can simply use the full spectrum magnesium, okay? Typically, most people are going to use 1, 2, or 3 capsules. And you'll do this 1 hour before, since it will kick in an hour later, as long as it's pretty much on an empty stomach, right? Food will always slow the ingestion and digestion of the supplement. The next product you'll want to use is 2 to 3 capsules of Adrenal Soothe. And again, I'm giving this as just suggestions. You'll have to try them out for yourself, but this is what I would do. And you could use 2 to 3 capsules of Adrenal Soothe. These 2 products alone are probably going to be all that you need to calm those nerves and relax. Now, if there's one more product that you may want to try, 30 minutes before, you might use CBD oil. You might use 25 milligrams, 50 milligrams, probably not more than that, so you don't just have sleepy eyes there at 100 milligrams, all right? So the truth is that the most benign would be the full spectrum magnesium. Then a little bit stronger would be the Adrenal Soothe, because it has the phospholyserine in there, has all sorts of ashwagandha, great products. Gives you energy while calming at the same time. It's called an adaptogen. And then the CBD oil would be the biggest anti-anxiolytic out there, right? So that's what I'd recommend. And Simon, I hope it works great. Would love to hear back as to how it went. But remember, always test these same typical type of day, same time of day, same amount of time after lunch or after breakfast. And that way there, you know that it's going to work just like that. Okay. Great question. You know what? We're going to keep it at that for today. Did I answer my 5 to 6? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We skipped over that one. 6. All right, we did it. We answered. I like to do 6 questions per day for the house calls. We made it happen. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much. As always, if the show is helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. And don't forget, we start a brand new week next week, beginning with our Mindset and Motivation Mondays. I'll talk with you then. Take care. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.